I'm Tom Shearer. I'm a Chief Finance Officer in the NHS at an organisation called Central and North West London NHS Foundation Trust. And in my job, it means I'm in charge of anything to do with money and the organisation I work within, as well as estates, business intelligence, and a few other smaller functions as well. Today, hopefully, you're here to learn a lot about our programme. What the programme is, why we feel the programme's really important, as well as you'll get an opportunity to hear from current students and current placement managers, as well as hearing from Aisha, who's a past placement student, and around her experience coming into work in the NHS. Our aim for the session is to leave you feeling excited about the opportunity of working in the NHS and possibly applying for the Insights placement programme as well. So hopefully we'll see a flurry of applications come as soon as the webinar's finished. Anyway, I thought I'd start by saying a little bit about me and why I love working in NHS finance so much. So I started working in the NHS when I was 18, serving tea and coffee at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge. And I was raised by my mum, who was a single parent who worked as a healthcare assistant in the hospital and helped me point me towards where I could start working in the NHS. And 20 years later, I'm still working in the NHS and I've really enjoyed every step along the way. Our programme is aimed at attracting and training a different type of leader and future accountant from different backgrounds. I think a lot of people have an image of an accountant being someone from a very well-educated background and from a particular type of person. And we know that you don't need a university degree to be a brilliant accountant. And you don't need to have been to a university at all, let alone a top university, to become a brilliant accountant and a leader in finance in the NHS. And we know that from research that the more diverse our teams are, and particularly our leadership teams are, we know that better decisions are taken and we have more engagement within our teams in our functions as well. We also know that within the NHS and within NHS finance, our current leadership teams are not an accurate representation of the populations we serve. So whether that's underrepresentation for people from a BAME background, or fewer people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And we have a lot of programmes geared towards accountants that are for graduates. So the NHS has a graduate scheme, which is very good at encouraging people to start their careers in the NHS. But there's not a lot out there for people who don't want to go to university, can't afford to go to university, or don't see university as an option for them. So this programme is aimed at providing a route into NHS finance and providing some insight, some real life work experience of what it's like to work in NHS finance for people that we've traditionally seen underrepresented within our departments, but also at our senior levels as well. So what we're looking for is future leaders from a different background, and so therefore our entry criteria for the programme are that it is desirable to have a grade 4 at GCSE maths, but not essential. The reason we ask for that is because working in finance, you have to be reasonably comfortable working with numbers in order to do most of the roles. But we totally understand why there might be circumstantial reasons or other reasons why a grade 4 might not have been achievable for whatever reason at GCSE maths. So it's desirable, but not essential. The things that are essential are that you're not planning to go to university. This is very specifically a route for those not planning to attend. And that either your main household earner is from a lower socioeconomic background in terms of their occupation, or that you've been eligible for free school meals at any point in the last 6 years. And a bit more about that entry criteria is available on the Insights Placement Scheme website. But the main thing we're looking for and the main thing we're testing through the process is a desire and an enthusiasm to work in the NHS, to learn about NHS finance, to learn about healthcare, and a passion to want to improve healthcare for everyone in the country, and to work within a system that's geared up to doing that. So what happens if you are successful in getting on the programme? So you'll become part of a finance department in the NHS for 12 months. It's a paid 12 months. You'll be trained to and will do an actual job in that department. So it's about learning and developing, but learning on the job by actually doing tasks that are required within the finance department. You'll also do a minimum of 2 different jobs within the department so that you get different experiences, although you may do more. And there are lots of different functions within a finance department. And some of those can be better depending on your strengths. So some of them are more desk-based, computer-based, if you're into data processing and working with Excel or other computer programs. And some are far more service-facing, having the opportunity to go and talk to clinicians, doctors, nurses, operational managers about their services and how they can be run more effectively and efficiently. You'll get a chance on the programme to not just work within a finance department, but to meet and work with people outside of the department, the finance department in the NHS. And I think that's one of my favourite things about working in the NHS, is that you're often not purely office-based. It's office centred, but not purely office based, and you're not interacting purely with finance professionals. A hospital or any NHS setting is full of a huge range of different professions, from doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, the traditional careers that you might think of. But there's also operational managers, administrative managers, porters, cleaners, estates professionals, engineers. There's pretty much every job you can think of in many NHS organisations, and a lot of organisations feel a little bit more like a small town than they do an individual organisation, which is really, really brilliant to work within. Not only will you get experience within the organisation you work within, but you'll also get the opportunity to attend various events to support your training and development, to make sure that you get the most out of your year's experience. That's both through the programme, so by meeting other Insights placement students, by meeting other people who are part of an educational pathway within finance in your region, as well as the wider regional finance teams as well. So there's lots of opportunity to meet other people in a similar position, or other people that are a little bit more advanced in their career, to get some advice from them as well. The plan for the programme is that at the end of it, we've equipped you with, and you come out with, all of the skills and experience you need to land a substantive job in NHS finance. And if you wish, to allow you to study for an accountancy qualification, either through an apprenticeship or through another means. It's not just apprenticeships that provide the opportunity for you to study and do further training. There are lots of jobs that aren't formal apprenticeships that will support you in your training and development as well. That said, this program isn't just for people who see themselves as being a future CFO or definitely becoming an accountant. There are lots of jobs in finance departments for whatever your ambition is. Right from if you're a high flyer who sees yourself running the NHS one day, or if you just want a stable, solid job where you're able to go to work in a comfortable, safe environment, and do your job, contribute to the wider system economy, but you're more comfortable working in smaller teams or even by yourself. There's really something for everyone in the finance department, and that's the purpose of the insights, is to allow you those 12 months to come in and do everything, to give you an insight into what your future career may hold. And let's be honest, whilst I love the NHS and working in the NHS, it can be difficult at times. We know that the NHS is under huge financial pressure at the moment, and huge waiting list pressures that you may have seen in the news, where lots of people are waiting for elective procedures, people waiting for appointments with their GPs, or waiting at emergency departments for too long. It's difficult, but this is the opportunity for you to come in, and if, like me, you didn't see yourself becoming a doctor or a direct healthcare professional, if your strength is numbers, administration, the business side of things, then this is your opportunity to come and contribute to supporting the NHS with its biggest challenge that it's faced certainly in my career, and playing your small part in that much bigger picture. So that's all I wanted to say as part of an introduction. As I say, we will have some time for questions, and I see there's been some questions coming through the chat already, which is brilliant. But I'll now hand you over to Becky to introduce our next sessions, where you can hear from people who are on the programme and been through the programme as well. But thank you very much for coming to our webinar. And I really hope you leave excited to apply for what I think is a fantastic opportunity. Over to you, Becky.
Thanks, Tom. Up next, we've got Hanad and Aisha, who are both Insight students at North Bristol NHS Trust and University Hospitals Bristol and Weston, along with their placement managers, Sanjay and Nathan. So I will hand over to you all now.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hi. Shall I kick off, Claudia? We don't have Nathan today. We've got Claudia, who's the overall placement manager at UHBW, on with us. So I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Sanjay Sampa. I'm the Principal Financial Accountant at NBT, North Bristol NHS Financial Trust. Claudia, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Head of Strategic Finance at University Hospitals of Bristol NHS Foundation Trust. And we do have Sanjay on the Nathan on the call, so
okay. I didn't see him. I just saw the boys with you,
so
yeah.
But happy to answer any questions. I'll just introduce you to O'Shea, who's next to me. We actually in a little room got O'Shea and Mo, who's one of two. There's Nathan. In two students this year. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you. So shall I, Nathan, do you want
to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Nathan Headley. I am a senior management accountant at UHBW and the placement manager for our two Insights trainees.
Okay, so I'll quickly introduce Hanad. He's on screen there. He's one of my two placement students at NBT. He's joined us and he's currently working not in finance. You know, as Tom mentioned, you don't necessarily have to have a job in a finance function. He's working in payroll, and he's been there for 12 months actually. So Tom, we didn't actually choose to move him because he was enjoying it so much and he'd invested so much of his time developing that knowledge. He's chosen to stay on, and we're hoping that he will get a role with us at some point in payroll as well. So we're looking through the processes for that. So perhaps I'll just kick over to the placement students to see what they want to talk about their experiences.
Can we start first, Sanjay?
Yeah. Yes, please, if you could.
So hi everyone, my name is Hanad. Started the Insight placement scheme this September after leaving college. When I was starting this, I really didn't know what I was going to get into, because you know finance is just such a broad subject. You know, I was just like, well, what am I going to be doing? But the first couple of weeks here did kind of see how everything is run, how we got different financial group, like financial services, we've got financial management, we even got payroll over that work in a different setting to whereas the other finance team, but all do contribute towards the same goal. And being here, honestly, I've learned so much. And the reason I do want to stay on payroll is because you do learn so much. And like my manager tells me, the people the money goes towards is so important because they're actually the ones helping, like benefiting society, like helping other people. So you do get a broad subject like that when you work within the NHS. Also within finance as well, you do start to learn a lot within finance, which has just been really good, been very insightful so far, and can't wait to see where the future goes. But yeah, if you are applying, do you recommend it? It'll be a good year. Anyone else?
Aisha, do you want to share your experiences so far on the scheme?
Yeah, hello, my name is O'Shea, and my experience on the stream on this has been very good. I've got to do like a range of different stuff. I've worked in transaction services most of the time, which is like accepting invoices and just recovering the debt and stuff owed to the trust. But I've also worked in the cash office, which is a great experience. It's really helpful, like learning how to work by yourself, but working in a team at the same time, dealing with customers face to face. And yeah, everyone here is really nice. They're really supportive. Like I have weekly meetings with Nathan. Everyone here just helps out. And yeah, it's a great experience.
Thanks, O'Shea and Hanad. I'd just like to interject on sort of my experiences with the scheme, if possible. Obviously, as somebody who would have been eligible for the scheme many years ago, it was of great interest to me to get involved in it and to help people, who were in similar situations to myself, sort of see that there is a career in NHS finance, even if we don't come from a particular background, or you're not university educated, or like myself, you were very much on your free school dinners when you were in school. And so I'm really keen to get involved in the scheme to help people out. I think just to see the increase in confidence from Mo and O'Shea has been absolutely fantastic from when they first joined. They didn't really want to speak too much or express themselves too much, but now they're in the setting, they're comfortable. It's good to see them in there interacting with their team members, being comfortable and taking on tasks, picking up new work, being able to work independently as well. It's great to see them being able to pick up those skills, and just to see the growth of the students, and for them to come in and sort of prove to everybody that you, even if we are from a specific background, or we are on free school dinners, or we're not university educated, there is still a pathway for us into NHS finance as long as we were willing to put the work in. I think it's been great to see the growth of both of the UHBW students, and I'm sure Sanjay will reiterate the same for the MBT Insights trainees. I think this scheme is a fantastic scheme for anybody who can get onto it, and I would encourage anybody who fits the criteria to apply. NHS Finance is a wonderful place to work. You will get the world of support in trying to help you to be successful in your job role, and to if you want to get qualified as an accountant, you will receive everything that you need to help you go down that path. I really enjoy working in NHS Finance. It's been so supportive with me, and it is, they've given me a chance to work my way up the chain to become a senior management accountant. I can't speak highly enough of the scheme, and I would encourage everybody to apply for it. And if you get on it, I would say you are extremely lucky at the opportunity that you are going to have. Please, anybody who's thinking of applying, just do it. You won't be disappointed.
Thanks, Nathan.
Okay, I'll just carry on if I may. I think with our two students, it's been a real revelation for both of them, especially when you're coming from a school environment and moving into an office environment. It can be quite a big step up. in that respect, and they've both coped so admirably. You know, being in the office, being part of a team, like Nathan said, O'Shea and Mohammed are in the same situation, taking on tasks, learning new skills. I've been heavily investing time teaching them how to use various tools, Excel, PowerPoint. I test them on various things. Hanad, for example, has put a presentation together for our team and about payroll. We try and not only give them financial acumen skills, but other sort of softer skills which will translate into something which they'll take into their careers later. So report writing, presentation building, opportunities to do that in a safe space. And they get opportunities to look at other courses and say, Sanjay, we fancy doing this, and I'll have a look at it and say, we'll have that adult discussion and work out what benefits they'll derive from it, whether it's appropriate now or at a later point, because there's no point, for example, learning how to chair a board, because that's a few years down the line, you'll forget what you've learned. So it's got to be time appropriate as well. So we do invest a lot of time in these students, and coming from a non-NHS background, I only joined 3 years back. I would echo what Nathan says, it is by far and away the best place I have worked. And I didn't have the privilege of working like Tom did from the outset. I was an auditor, so I knew Claudia 20 years back, believe it or not. She may look 21, and she is probably. But I've known her for since 2002, when I was auditing UHBW, and I was on the wrong side of the desk in those days. So I've really enjoyed coming to this side, and I'm really enjoying mentoring these boys.
Thanks, Sanjay.
No problems.
I can help answer some of the questions in the chat if you want, Tom. I don't know if that's helpful or I don't know. There's one. Do you have any tips for interview to get into the scheme? I think number one, please apply, and secondly, if you're invited to interview, don't be nervous. It's a really friendly, easy interview. We just want to get to know you and get some qualities out of you in terms of how motivated you are, how much you want to you want to take this opportunity and use it. I think that's really important. We understand the different levels coming out of school into a work environment, and all of that will help you and support you, and just make it like one of your best years that you will have. But if you've got any other questions, I'm more than happy to help you. I'm sure you've got my email address or Becky can give it to you if you want. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. I see Hanad's put his hand up, so feel free to come in.
I want to jump on that question. What advice I'd give? I'd say read the questions, because the questions are provided on the interview, on the email. So I'll say just kind of read up on that, and also just be yourself. Don't be nervous, because we like the managers like Sanjay and Claudia interviewed me, and they knew I had no knowledge of finance. And that's the whole point of this, is coming here to teach you about it. So yeah, that's the advice I'd give.
Thanks, Hanad. It's nice to know we're friendly. And as he said, that we did signpost to candidates that the questions in advance. It all depends which areas you're going to. I think Charlie, who runs it, will provide those questions in advance. Some of the areas we might include a little test in there just to see how you your thought process works. But that's again probably subject to the areas you're applying to. I noticed somebody said what grade or qualifications there is. You're not really getting a qualification as per se. That would happen after the event at the conclusion of the 12-month period. But what somebody responded was a band 2. That's actually your grade in the hierarchy of an organisation. So you start at a band 2 wage. It's a very, very good wage. Especially if you compare and contrast it to your peers who go into a role straight out of school, maybe not off to university, you're doing quite well. So my advice is, should you be successful and get these opportunities to grasp it with both hands, because it is a real opportunity, and if you don't invest your full self in it, you're not going to get anything out. You're not going to get as much out of it as you could, and you might not get that opportunity to showcase your best potential and then move on into a further study through the organisation or elsewhere. And when you do that, there's a variety of options. So you can go into AAT or to a full accountancy qualification, or things like payroll, for example. Hanad, we're looking at a payroll apprenticeship, so he'll go through the whole process of moving up into that scheme, and that will be a couple of years, and he'll be fully qualified, and then the world opens for him. So these opportunities are there, and I would just say grasp them, take them wholeheartedly, and just be your best self. Turn up yourself at the best time. Okay, Nathan.
I was just gonna. You literally said what I was gonna say at the end. Now,
Sorry, mate.
That's fine. When you come to interview, it is about just coming as yourself. Bring your best self. Don't worry too much about the skills side of things. It's more about the personality that we're going to be focusing on during the interview, and just don't worry if you think, oh, I want to apply, but I may not have the relevant skills, or I'm not too sure about my Excel skills. Those are all irrelevant. They will all be taught to you throughout the course. It is more about the personality when it comes to interview. So yeah, just turn up as the best version of yourself.
Fantastic. Claudia, were you trying to come in there?
I was just asking you to take over.
All good. Well, look, thank you so much to the team from Bristol for giving us the perfect example of the scheme in operation, both from a kind of management support perspective, but also from a student experience perspective. It is the perfect example of the scheme working in all its glory. And there are pockets all over the country where we have similar networks that have developed, providing fantastic experiences for young people up and down the country. But this has been a perfect example. So thank you to all of you for sharing that. I haven't heard from you guys before, so I definitely found that really inspiring and motivational. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you all again around the Insights patch. So thank you, and good luck with your future careers. Although it doesn't sound like you need it, it sounds like you're all gonna fly. So thank you. Over to Becky now to introduce our next session.
Thanks, Tom. Next up, we've got Aisha, who is a past student. She's now working as a finance assistant at Central and North West London NHS Foundation Trust, and she's going to talk a bit about her experience and what she's been up to since the scheme. So I'll pass it over to you now, Aisha.
Hi everyone, I'm Aisha and I work at Central and North West London NHS. I am currently an assistant management accountant working in the corporate division. I was the pilot student for the Insight Placement Scheme. I started my placement in 2023, September. And today I'm going to walk you through my experience of the placement and how it helped me shape my career path. So I began my placement in the transactional services team. I was working in both accounts payable and accounts receivable. So I think it was a really great place for me to start. That role, it gave me a really strong foundation in how NHS finance works. And in accounts payable team, I was mainly helping with processing invoices and responding to queries from stakeholders. And on the other side, in the accounts receivable side, I was chasing like overdue debt and salary overpayment. So quite the opposite sides, but it really helped me understand the bigger picture when it comes to financial controls. To be honest, when I first started, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do accounting in the long term. I'd done all sciences at my A-levels, well, apart from maths. And I'd always pictured myself in a frontline role, maybe as a nurse or any other social worker. So in my head, helping people meant being face to face with them. So I wasn't quite sure how I fit into finance. However, even in those early months, I found myself realizing that the scheme, it was teaching me skills that would be valuable anywhere, even outside finance. Like, I was dealing with stakeholder queries on day-to-day basis, which significantly improved my communication and problem-solving skills. I was helping with multiple teams at the same time, which taught me how to manage my time effectively. I also started to understand a bit of the business terminology and how large organizations like NHS actually function. So a few months in, I had a short rotation with the financial accounts team. And there I got to see various processes like cash team, and I also had some involvement with the auditors. I think that was a bit of a turning point for me because at that time I started to realize that I actually really enjoy accounting. I really liked how it was structured and how everything connected behind the scenes, and I absolutely loved the problem solving aspect of it. Another great part about the scheme was, apart from getting insight into the finance, we also received a lot of development support. Throughout the year, Tom and Grace, they organized regular development days for us, where we develop our softer skills like Excel training, CV workshops, and interview skills. We also had the opportunity to hear directly from the NHS staff, clinical and non-clinical, and those sessions, they really helped build our confidence and gave us a better understanding of the role finance plays across the whole organization. I think one moment that really stood out for me was during one of those development days when we visited a hospital and we had the chance to speak with the clinical staff. Already knew how much we help patients. I'd seen the importance of handling patient monies when I was working in the cash team, and when I was in accounts payable, we were making sure our clinical supplies like oxygen or medicine were never delayed because of late payment or something. But that visit at the hospital was the first time I properly saw the human side of it. Like, it made me realize that even though I wasn't working in a clinical role like I thought I would, I was still contributing to something that was making a real difference. So later in the year, due to staffing gap, I returned to the accounts payable team after my rotation in the financial accounts, but I was still encouraged to keep exploring. I shadowed teams like costing and management accounts, both clinical and corporate, and that helped me see how broad NHS finance really is. So it's quite later into the placement year, and by that time I knew for sure that I wanted to stay in accounting. My original plan, however, was to go to university after my placement year ends, and I discussed that with my colleagues and managers, and they were really supportive of my decision, but they also helped me see that there were other routes that I could take to become a qualified accountant. For example, apprenticeships or studying while working full time. And honestly, at that point, that felt like a better fit for me. So that's when I started looking at different professional qualifications and figuring out what would work best for me. So that was quite towards the end of my placement. And during that time, we got a lot of support again from Tom and Grace and also our placement managers. We were encouraged to apply for roles, and we were regularly sent band 4 and 5 vacancies throughout the NHS trusts, as well as the apprenticeship opportunities. I applied to quite a few of them, and while I did get some rejections, I never felt quite stuck. I think the scheme had opened up so many paths for me that I always felt like there was something else I could go for. However, quite at the end of my placement, I did end up getting this management account assistant role, and that's where I'm currently working as well. So I started this in September 24, And I think it was, again, a very big step up for me from what I was doing before. It was a lot more complex and a lot more responsibility, but I've learned loads since then. I'm still learning new every day. So I also started studying for my ACCA in October. As expected, I didn't have any exemptions and I had to begin from the very first exam. By February, I had passed my first 3 exams, and with that, I have now finished the level 4 of my ACCA. It felt like a pretty big milestone for me, and looking back, honestly, I never even imagined I'd be here working in finance one day. I'm really grateful to have been part of the pilot year. I think the scheme, it really helped me discover what I'm good at and the things I enjoy in finance. I think it was a proper experience, and I got to explore so many options that I didn't even know those options existed. I honestly believe that this scheme has really long-term value, and I am really excited to see how it grows and open doors for other people with different background and experiences.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Aisha, for sharing that. And you might be grateful for the scheme, but we are also very grateful and lucky to have had you. And you're a brilliant example of the successful route post scheme as well. And I too can't wait to see what you go on to achieve in the NHS as kind of forming the path from our pilot year as to what can be achieved. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I hope you don't mind me sharing that 18 months from when you started the scheme, that you're here talking in front of so many people so confidently and clearly about your experience is a testament to how well you've done and thrown yourself into every opportunity that we've had. And you work at the organisation I work at, and we're very, very lucky to have you. And thank you for sharing your story with us so perfectly. Right, we're on to Q&A, for which I will hand over to Becky to take us through any questions. We may not get through them all, and we may not have an answer to them all, but we will do our very best. So over to you, Becky.
Yes, so yeah, if you've got any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll read them out and we'll all do our best to answer them. So there was a question, is there multiple positions or is there just one specific role? I can answer that one. There are lots of different, there's the same role, but there are lots of organisations taking on students depending on your location. How many days or hours do you work? And after 12 months, what happens? So it's full-time, 5 days a week, which is probably 37.5, I think, and then after 12 months, we can get onto that in a bit. I know there's a couple other questions asking about what happens and if people are retained. So I don't know, maybe we should answer that one now. We will support you as much as you can, but you aren't guaranteed a role. But you've heard from Aisha that she has managed to stay. So hope we'll do our best. Let's have a look. When are interviews taking place? So the deadline for applications is the 23rd of May, and you can expect to hear whether you've been invited to an interview in June, and then interviews are likely to take place end of June, beginning of July. Is it only for aspiring students or professionals as well? So it's for college leavers, it's 18 plus. There is no upper age limit. So if you've been in education in the last 2 years, but not university, then you may be eligible for the scheme. That's it for questions, I think. Any other questions? Oh, there's a hand up. Kerry.
Hiya. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right. I know I'd put in the beginning of the chat about the specific NHS trusts in our area. My name's Kerry and I am the DWP NHS lead for Durham Tees Valley District, and we have been promoting this webinar and promoting these fantastic opportunities to our work coaches to share with their customers to identify suitable candidates to apply. We do have public transport issues in the area, so I think locations is really important for us to know how best to support our candidates as to whether there is a placement available to them. So my question early on in the chat was about which trusts were actually involved in this initiative. I don't know whether you can answer specifically.
Can I come in on locations as well, and then I'll hand over to Becky to ask her a question as to whether that's something we can share. So locations will change. There are lots of providers and NHS organisations, and not every single one is signed up to this programme. One thing that's really important for us is that we don't take more students than we're able to realistically support into careers and jobs beyond the first year. We are aware that therefore can create its own inequality via locations, and we are doing our very best to make sure that there's a spread of organisations across the country and within regions. And we also know that some areas like London are much easier than others like the southwest, where you're not going to commute to Cornwall from Bristol. So we are doing our best to cover locations, but it will mean that each year things will slightly change, but we're doing our best to make sure that there's coverage. Becky, I don't suppose there's any reason that we can't publish the list of organisations that are live for September, but I'll pass to you for that one. It's too difficult for me.
Yes, sure. So I can share afterwards the locations of the organisations. I'll share it with the recording and the link to the applications as well.
Great. I know we've had been sent a list of locations, but there were 2 on the spreadsheet to be confirmed. So it's been trying to identify, because we've got quite a large geographical area, that people from the north of the patch, there's no way they would travel down to the south, even though these are fantastic opportunities, because a lot of these young people are dependent on public transport, and in some areas it's really, really poor. But thanks for the information. And is it okay to share the recording with our Job Centre colleagues so they can share with the customers?
Yes, of course, that's fine.
Brilliant, thank you.
Can I sort of dip into that as well, Becky, in terms of location? So over for those on the call, we're in Bristol, which is reasonably well transport linked, but we know that there's other areas around the Bristol, beyond Bristol, where people are looking to take on students, but we're trying to be mindful, and I think Becky and Charlie and the team in HFMA are trying to sort of categorize people within that locality to see whether it's reasonably accessible. So we do have, I mean, out of the 4 students we've got in the Bristol area, 3 of them drive. The 4th has just got his license but doesn't have a car. So they're quite fortunate in that realms. But those that are, I say, subject to public transport need to be mindful of where they're applying for and how realistic it is to get there, because you will possibly need to go there a couple of times a week. So just be mindful of that and how accessible it is, and especially in winter and stuff when it's cold and wet. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Someone said, I've already applied on the form for my college. Do I need to apply again? No, if you've already done the application form, no need to apply again. You'd have to wait and hear back from us. How would I know if my application has been received by you? So you should, in theory, get a notification saying that you filled out the application form, and that means that we will have received it. But if you are concerned that it's not come through, then just drop us an email and I can check for you. Are university students allowed to do it? No, the criteria is that it's for people that have not attended university and aren't planning on attending university. So unfortunately, if you are at uni, you wouldn't be able to apply. Any other questions? Or for us, or any of the current students, or Aisha? No, sounds good. Thank you.
Right. So we've come to the end of our webinar. Thank you very much for joining. A few things I've taken away from this is I loved Nathan talking about growing in confidence through the program. This program is set up to provide a supportive environment. Yes, it's going to be challenging, but we know that it can be difficult coming into the work environment. And speaking from experience, it can definitely be quite difficult coming into an environment where you perceive that everyone's really clever, or they are this type of person or that type of person. And we are here to support through that initial phase. And you've heard from existing students as well as Aisha about growing in confidence and how it's a journey, and we're not expecting, if you feel comfortable on day one, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. And that's linked to lots of the questions about what makes you stand out. And definitely it's not academics here. I felt very nervous coming into the NHS and into an accountancy job that people would judge me for my not great academics, and that's definitely not the case. You don't need to be to have flown through everything with straight A's and a first degree to be a good accountant. What will make you stand out is your enthusiasm, your interest, and your commitment, and how you're able to evidence that through the process and have things to talk about that you've got that you can show the interviewer. This shows that I'm enthusiastic about the NHS and I'm really interested. And I know there's apprehension about it being 12 months and what happens next. And again, you've heard from our current students and Aisha, the best thing you can do is throw yourself wholeheartedly into the year. And throughout that year, it is likely but not guaranteed that opportunities will come to you if you make yourself invaluable to the organisation you're with, and they'll want to give you a job at the end of it. So finally, I just wanted to say a big thanks to Becky Grace and the One NHS Finance team. They are fantastic support to this programme, and who you will be lucky enough to get support from through the process and into your jobs. Thank you to the amazing teams from Bristol who are amazing at what they're doing down there, and I'm really excited to see where the students end up down there as well. Huge thank you to Aisha. You are amazing and continue to be a brilliant beacon for everything that the scheme is about. And thank you all for joining. And I hope if you haven't applied already, you're going to follow the links that's been shared in the chat. It's not a hugely long application process, and as I say, that process is testing your enthusiasm and commitment to working in the NHS and into finance rather than your academics, because that's what we're looking for through the programme. Enjoy the rest of your day. And have a nice weekend when you get to it, and thank you very much again for joining. Hopefully see many of you around the NHS in the years to come, and hopefully within this chat there are some future CFOs that before I retire I'll get to meet and be very proud of everything you've achieved. So see you later.